Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host, Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News Need on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram.
With Columbia down the way.
And the sound effects you have heard come from our man in Brooklyn, @agent_7 on Twitter and Instagram.
What's up, everybody? Co-hosting from the borough of Kings.
It's the B, the R, the O, the O-K, L-Y, the place where I stay.
Nice. And you can find this here show on the Coast of the Podcast Network at CSPN.us.
Do it today.
You can also find us on your podcast browser place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coast of the Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us the 5-star positive reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, where it really does count.
Please and thank you. You could also find us recording mostly every Thursday evenings, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, on the Kliq Nation's YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/thekliqnation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Again, please hit like, subscribe, and leave, and make sure to hit the notification button so that you know when we are on live.
Yo. Tonight, actually, I guess we'll. No, I was about to say I was going to bring up next week's plans, but I think we're going to organically get into that at the beginning of the news section. So I'll save that bit for later. But for now, we're going to get into books because it was an interesting week. Oh shoot, you know what I forgot to put in? While we're talking about the first book, there was a bit of news that actually would interrupt some people's comic book buying. I totally forgot to put in. But nevertheless, we are going to start off with books with Fury #1, which is the 60th anniversary one-shot about one Nick Fury.
I was about to say there is one bit of comic book related TV show that is out now that we have not yet had a chance to watch. That is American Born Chinese. It's out on Disney Plus. So I literally have not made it through the first episode yet, so we don't have much to say about it, but it is out there now on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
on the Plutos, folks.
Right, which we mentioned last week. Last episode, which was a couple of days ago. As of this recording, we did our last show a couple of days prior to this, so you might have double episodes this week.
Right. So ultimately, though, that's just a quick reminder before we get into Fury #1, which is #1 released this week. It's written by Al Ewing with pencils. Well, this book has segments to it, multiple creators on it. So the first section is penciled by Scott Eaton with inks by Cam Smith. The next section has art by Tom Riley. The following section has art by Adam Kubert. And the final section has art by Ramon Rosanas. Colors throughout the book are provided by Jordi Belair, and letters. And you know what happens when I pause when I say letters. Because it is our favorite lettering paisan, VC's Joe Caramagna. This issue is an interesting setup. And believe it or not, is actually earlier in time. It is actually supposed to happen before the events of the Stinger in last week's issue of Fantastic Four. Was it #7?
Yes.
Right. So if you read Fantastic Four #7 and made it through the Stinger kind of mid-credit scene in that book, that is the payoff for what this book essentially establishes. So mild spoilers here. We have some setup, nothing final though, but some setup for this new iteration of a classic Marvel organization. complete, you know, we don't have the setup of the new acronym, but there is another character that has a different version of their acronym, which I got a kick out of.
Yeah, if you know much about the character or the history of Nick Fury, there's usually there's a handful of adversaries that would come up, but one in particular that has always been um a stick in his stick in a craw, I guess you would say would be the closest thing.
Right. Well, you know, a thorn in the side.
There you go.
All that.
Same thing if you're not from the South. Um
Considering that, like, you know, it's always half. If we have all 4 hosts on, half are from the South, half are not.
This is true. This is true. But yeah. So this being the 60th anniversary of Nick Fury, we get this nice one shot here that Al Ewing, who has been doing bang up jobs on these anniversary issues, these books that they've been doing, because they did Ant-Man's and Wasps, and I think those are it so far. I might be, if I'm missing something, I can't remember, but I think those are the ones that are definitely remembered. I feel like there's another one shot that Ewing's also done, but I can't remember what it is. Regardless, I was about to say irregardless, and that's not a word. Regardless of that, we get a pretty good, and I will go ahead and say it right now, potential click of the week for me, because we, as folks currently may know, the current Nick Fury is the son of Nick Fury, also, you know, due to some MCU leanings, is black.
The MCUification.
Yes,
that is our term, and we're sticking with it.
Pretty much of Nick Fury, but older Nick Fury is still around in the one shape or form.
Right. I think we had taken to calling him the OG Nick Fury.
Yes, pretty much.
Yes, yeah, the OG Nick Fury.
So I was going to say, well, I know I have in my notes that he meets them, but I meant to say meet up with. But regardless, there's an old Nick Fury enemy / archetype that the new, as Agent 70 said, you know, a new version of this of his adversary has shown up. So which causes Nick Fury Jr. to kind of look into some history of this of the character. You know, and of course, you know, have a moment or two with dear old dad, you know, in the end of this with his new status, and also, I guess, slight spoiler, a potential passing of the torch again.
Yeah. So ultimately, you know, we kind of understand as older, you know, we do play this one often.
Oh, yeah, I'm too old for this shit.
But as experienced comic book readers, seen this happen before. It's always interesting to see, though, a character who literally admits to have gotten have gotten a little old and long in the tooth, and to actually admit to wanting to pass the baton along.
Right.
And that's what happens here. And it's done relatively elegantly, right? Where we have a character who has long been established. We've seen him. He's not necessarily evergreen, right? He is fueled by the Infinity Formula, but that's not the Super Soldier Serum. It does have its limits, right?
Right.
And so ultimately, you know, the passing of the torch makes some sense. And as we've been wont to say, the MCUification of the regular comic book universe continues. There's nothing wrong with that here, because at the end of the day, you know, the concept of Nick Fury and the concept of that acronym that's a little different now remains. Whether or not they're performing the same mission, well, we'll see what happens in this new iteration.
Right. And I guess another thing to note is that OG Nick Fury, and actually realistically, even the current Nick Fury Jr. is of a time.
Right.
And if you don't know that much about Nick Fury, you kind of get a sense of some of that here, given the what they kind of showcase here in this issue. But trying to find a new place in this, or find a place in this world that that is already here. The Marvel Universe is already here. And I know both Nick Furies have kind of gone through that before. You're just like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm gonna still keep doing what I'm gonna do, but in what way that's different from what I was doing prior to this type situation. So we get a little bit of that here, and it makes for a good read, I think. Like, I know for I may be wrong for this, but maybe younger readers may possibly be put off by some of the when it goes into the past, because the past was, let's face it, the past was a little wordy. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing, but I'm just saying that it is what it was. There was a lot of alliteration. There was a lot of talking while whether there was action or not. So pages and pages of letters in some cases. But that was of a time. And some people have called that. Some folks have called that back at times when necessary. But we kind of get a little bit of that here. Like I said, that may or may not put off some younger readers, but you might not. Who's to say? But overall, it was like I said, it was a pretty good one shot for Nick Fury's 60th. And as Agent 70 said, hey, we'll see what this new iteration of that acronym is going to bear out going forward.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we have, a new start for this acronym. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. I'm not, like I said, I'm not, I'm looking forward to some kind of reimagining of what the mission of this acronym is supposed to do.
Yeah, wouldn't be the first time for that either.
Exactly.
As time goes by, this is probably the third, maybe fourth iteration.
Sure. So, their jurisdiction is going to vary, their governing body is going to vary, this, that, and the other.
Right.
Obviously, with the advent of the MCU, that also, led to the MCUification of this particular agency / group / acronym.
Right. They may go under and pretty much be off the books. That happens. That tends to happen, and is happening. So there is that. So yeah, I think we've pretty much run that one out. Go check it out if you are, if you have some interest in it. It's a pretty good read, I think.
Yeah. Guess what, folks? That is our one book in common this week. Our one book. Indeed. So, do you want to follow up with your next book?
Yeah, I'll put another one out there, sure. And that book is actually going to be weird things going on the. Trying to pull up a book. Storm, number 1 of 5, is my book. And it is written by the great Ann Nocenti, with art by Sid Koshian, colors by Andrew Dalhouse, and letters by VC's Ariana Maher. So this issue takes place, if you are watching the video version, you already got a sense of when it takes place, because it's around the time of Punk Storm. As a matter of fact, they give us a footnote of X-Men 176, which I think is when she started leading the team, if I'm not correct.
176?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Was this? Yeah, because it was after. It was definitely after she got the leadership of the Morlocks, but I think it was also after she and Cyclops went after for But I can't remember if that part is the case or not.
No, they had the duel was 201, I think.
Was 201? Okay, so this was before that, but when she was
the battle for I was going to say the battle for leadership was in 201.
Gotcha. Okay, so
So
I was wondering about that.
if I'm not mistaken, this is this is obviously pre-Secret Wars. This is obviously but yeah, like you said, this is like right around that Morlock thing, because that's roughly when she cuts her hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and she obviously gets the leather jacket from Callisto.
Correct, and so they go into that in here. So just a couple of things, not to give the whole thing away, but it is around that time you see the team in action going up against, of course, some a classic other group that they normally would go up against. But after
right,
that,
the other version of a sisterhood. I'm kidding. Go ahead.
yes, but yes. And of course, we after the battle, we kind of it's weird because it's like, okay, there's some explanations in here. It's like, you know what, I didn't need these, but I know I get why they were done, because it's like, all right, we got Punk Storm going on. She's leading the team. She's got folks on the team that have issues with her new appearance, and I know this is a thing that has come up originally in the X-Men books. But they're using this, and Cynthia is kind of using this to kind of slightly explain the both sides of it, because they talk about the whole the talk about Callisto thing. They talk about, they even mentioned like why she cut her hair like this. She's getting pushback from other members of the team. One notably Kitty Pryde, because being the kid of the team, which again is originally from those books. She had the issue with it. Kind of goes a little bit more into that. And things around in that. So we get a little bit of that, and I'm like, okay, F that kid. That's all I'm saying. I'm just like that never made any kind of sense to me, but they're kind of trying to rationalize it here. So, which, sure, why not? But like I said, so we get a lot of that, and we get Charles Xavier still in the background, still in the background, while even though she's leading the team, he's kind of exerting himself as he tends to do, or as he has tended to do, which some may think is a little overstepping. So, there's things coming from the end. On top of that, Storm's kind of starting to doubt and worry about the overuse of her powers, or her overuse of her powers specifically, during this whole thing. And we also get kind of a which I think came much later than this, but we get a little bit of the swimsuit edition, the Marvel swimsuit issue in this, because of something that happens, or because of where they were when they finished battling folks. So but yeah, all of this is in service of kind of diving into Storm a little bit more. And speaking of which, she kind of does some diving herself, which you with the doubt that is with her, going through with her powers, there is another kind of thing that's coming into play in the form of a climate scientist that she meets up with, who I suspect has a little bit more, is going to have a little bit more and to do surrounding her than what we know of at this point, because there is a mysterious adversary that kind of comes in at the end of this. I feel some kind of way is probably has something to do with this person, and this climate scientist has some sort of tech that's supposed to clean up the earth, help clean up the earth kind of situation. So all of that thing is kind of coming together to probably going to come together in a, no pun intended, perfect storm of an arc. Of an arc. Thank you. That was not deserved, but thank you anyway. So yeah, ultimately though, it was a pretty good read. I'm kind of curious to see where this is going. Although, as I've just said, it feels like it's probably going where I'm thinking it's going, but I would, I would be happily surprised. Let's say if it doesn't, and to what end this is going to bring us, we don't know. But I guess as these things tend to do, it's like this is one of those stories that's uh newly found, I guess, or I'm not sure if we even have a term for it, but basically, as I guess Agent 70 would say, retconned in.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think this is necessarily a retcon until it changes something, right? It's in between the raindrops.
Well, it adds, right? Because it's kind of what, because we've had these issues before, like it kind of adds to the story, and
right.
Whether that ad changes anything significant or not, that's that I guess that's where the line's going to get drawn. But it is definitely an addition to a story of a time that we already have. So
right.
If you're a fan of Storm, you're probably going to check this out anyway. So, but do so because it is actually not a bad read.
Okay.
And that being said, I guess we can go into rapid fire.
I was about to say I had one book I wanted to speak about.
You did.
Because Roddykat want to load up the minigun before I'm ready to go. Listen,
I wasn't sure if
I
you
only
were
have
do that
4 books.
Right, I know, but you mentioned that book, but I wasn't sure if you were actually going to do that for rapid fire or do it.
No. I wanted to speak a little bit at length simply because I crammed in reading issues 2, 3, 4, and 5 tonight. I'm speaking of the book published over at Image titled Ambassadors. It's written by Mark Millar. This issue has art by Matteo Buffagni. There happens to be, I think, a rotating cast of artists on this book. So each issue has had one different art team on it after the other. The colors on this book are by Michelle Asara Sakorn, and letters are by Clem Robin. The concept here, bear in mind, I did talk about the first issue, but the concept here is that superpowers are somehow granted through, right? And a particular scientist has been able to stockpile superpowers and has created a contest, as it were, to create a group of superpowered rescuers to cover the globe, and have ambassadors, hence the title of the book, from various countries represent like certain sections of the globe and work for the public and, worldwide good. What I did not know, and obviously now that I've been caught up, there is a counter group that is being developed by the ex-husband of the woman who is creating this, worldwide group of rescuers. So there is, the Dom team. We're going to use a Fast 6 reference. There is the Dom team, and then there's the counter Dom team that is the Shaw team, right? So, right down to kind of opposites. Having complete opposites. We don't have that fully fleshed out though. There's only 5 issues so far, and this is a 6-issue limited series. So my guess is that we're going to have. This was the penultimate issue of this volume, so we're going to have one more issue that sets up the conflict and then end on a cliffhanger. So that's where we are now. So you are more than welcome to jump on this because it is tried and true concept. Superpowers in the real, and what if people got superpowers in today's day and age, right? And how would people react? How would people who aren't born with powers react to suddenly acquiring them? And it's a little bit of Dial H for Hero. The concept is a little bit of Dial H for Hero also. So, there are a couple of like tried and true comic book concepts that Millar kind of borrows from and adapts for this book. So I found it a pretty entertaining read, and it's definitely a candidate for Click of the Week for me. And that's it. So now we can go into rapid fire. I will spin up the minigun if everything is still the same. All righty, here we go.
Ain't got time to bleed.
All right. First up, I've got Nightwing number 104. I'm just going to talk about the main story. It's written by Tom Taylor, art by Travis Moore, colors by Adriano Lucas, and letters by Wes Abbott. So, if you had been reading Nightwing, Neron has been making some, waves in this book for whatever reason, but now, ultimately, that storyline at least has reached its climax. So that is probably the best thing I can say about this. Tom Taylor does an excellent job of really making, Richard Grayson, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, one of the more likable characters in the DC universe. It leads up to where we last found Dick Grayson, that being Titans number 1. That is kind of where the ending of this issue leads. So we're a little out of publishing order, just like we were with Fantastic Four and Fury. So that's that. Next up is Thor number 34. It's written by Torun Grumback with pencils by Juan Gadian, Sergio Davila, inks by Juan Gadian and Sean Parsons, colors by Matt Wilson, and letters by VC's Joe Sabino. So if you have been trying to stay on this Thor book since, the whole Thanos storyline came on, it is a whole mess. I have been out of the loop. I have not read Thor in several months, and this is the first time I jumped on in a while, and it doesn't look like I missed all that much. So I know that Thor's probably going to get either a reboot, a new number 1, or just a new creative team sometime in the near future. But it's interesting to see how this story ends up playing out. That's all I can say about it. It's kind of cool, but it's not really doing it for me. And that's it for me.
All right, cool. I was gonna go back and say that for those watching the video version, I'll pull it back up really quick. That Nightwing cover seems to be a play on a Twitter meme, and that's kind of funny.
Is it?
I believe it is. I would have to, but if you're watching video version, you can see for yourself, and you may or may not know what I'm talking about. But from there, we are going to go to my books, and we start off with. Wish I could say we're going to start off with Darkwing Duck, but apparently we did not get that. That's a bummer.
It's not available.
At least not digitally, anyway. So that's kind of a weird thing.
Wait, isn't that one of the IDW books?
It is, but we did get IDW books. We didn't get that particular one digitally. That's his so weird. So why can't I find the book that I'm looking for? And that book is Saturday Morning Adventures Dungeons and Dragons number 3 of 4. Excuse me. It is written by David M. Booher, pencils and inks by George Cambadias, colors by Josh Burcham, and letters by Ed Dukeshire. So this is the crew still stuck in the Forgotten Realms. But they have also been split apart, thanks to something that happened last week, or at least 2 of them got split off from the main group, and that would be Eric and Diana, the Cavalier and the Acrobat. And they end up coming up they end up having a fight with a beholder. So you got your D&D check boxes off right there, but also ends up basically saving the day with the power of family once they get out of the maze they are. And is apparently finds out that the person that, or a version of the person that they met before all of this went down, is not who they are not who we thought they are. And if you know anything about the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, I think you have a pretty good idea about who the person reveals themselves to end up being at the end of this book. So that is that. This has still been a pretty fun read, and I'm looking to see how this is going to end out. James Bond 007 for King and Country #2 of, actually, I'm not sure. Actually, they never give the, I forgot the get of it, the issue numbers of these, but it's written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Giorgio Spalletta, color artist Francesco Segala with assist by Agnes Pazza, and letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So the last time I talked about this book, I was wondering whether this was a kind of a continuation of the first James Bond 007 book, and it seems to be the case. But in this arc, Bond is on the run, and he has another. I guess he's been burned, or whatever the case may be. But he's also with this other 007 who was presumed to be dead. There's a reason about that, because this 007, this 00, not 007, because they're different numbers, but this 00 has been undercover because of a company that pretty much has been taking over the spy game. And to go back to the Fast and Furious analogy, there's even a God's eye technology that I think may have come to the fold during the last arc that is being put to use here in trying to track down Bond and this other agent. And they're getting almost John Wick style hunted down by other double O's during this thing, and other agencies, but definitely the other double O's. So they're basically finding themselves on their own and trying to figure out how to work against this company and them taking over the world, as it seems. So, and of course, there's a trap, because when you're going so deep underground that you find some help that ends up getting you put into a position. But yeah, been a good read so far. I've been enjoying it. Next up is Green Arrow #2. And apparently it says of 6. So I guess that is the case. But I guess I didn't put that on, because I thought this was ongoing. But nevertheless, it is written by Joshua Williamson with art by Sean Isaacs, colors by Romulo Fajardo Jr., and letters by Troy Pateri. So we got a couple of things going on here. One, Ollie is somewhere out in space, trapped. But now he has his, I don't know what his relation, goddaughter or something. I don't know. Leanne, if some of you might know that name. But they are now trapped somewhere out in space, and the rest of the Arrow family, that being Black Canary, Arsenal, whose daughter that is, by the way, is looking for them. So they go to what they thought to be the most likely place, to find someone missing, and that would be under the watchful eye of Amanda Waller. So, which means at the end of this book, they come across someone that we have actually seen last week in another book, and has had a TV show, and has also been in the Suicide Squad, fairly recently. And I guess they're going to come to blows next. And apparently, there's another version of that same character also with them that I have no recollection of. But I don't claim to know that much about DC stuff. But I suspect this is a newer character. Regardless, hey, still checking it out, still enjoying it. Static Shadows of Dakota #4 of 6 is my next book. Go. Written by Nicholas Draper Ivy and Vita Ayala, art by Nicholas Draper Ivy, and with additional colors by Will Quintana, and letters by Anna World Design. So, Verger finds out that this young kid that he's been mentoring has come up missing. This kid also is a bang baby. So he and his family who knows the kid kind of goes to the police station along with to kind of help out the kid's parents, getting some, no pun intended, static from the police, because tensions are high and racist, or at least particular police officer that they're dealing with may be profiling just a little hardly. I'll say maybe not racist, just profiling just a little hard. Until Virgil's dad kind of reads them a little bit, which sends Virgil as Static out to kind of look for some clues on it, to try to find the kid. But he runs into some issue. Actually, he runs into to some bad guys, which he kind of deals with. But in that entanglement, brings him into contact with someone else who's kind of working the same angle, but a little more harsher in force used. So they kind of go at it, and which kind of goes a certain way. But unfortunately, even with all of that, Virgil kind of comes home to some bad news, of which I'm sure will be exploited. Some news that I thought I wasn't sure whether that was actually the case or not. But I guess we'll find out. But yeah, cool, cool book. Next book is a new number one, also from DC, called City Boy, and this is number 1 of 6. Written by Greg Pak, with art by Minkyu Jung, colors by Sunny Go, and letters by Wes Abbott. So I know Agent 70 said he was going to read this, so the only thing I am going to say is we meet this dude whose name is Cameron. We get a little backstory on him, and we basically get the origins of his powers in this issue. Actually, I told Agent 70 not to look at my notes. No, actually, and I still stand behind it because I just noticed what I have in my notes. So since he's going to check this out, I am going to not say too much more outside of the fact that, like I said, we do get to explore the how we got his character, how we got his powers, and we'll say that it's a weird read in the middle of it because it kind of cuts between past and present. But if as you're reading, like, okay, you don't really get any warning on that, so it's a little jarring. It was like, wait, why is this like this and like this? And then it's like, oh, once you catch it, you get what's going on with it. So that was a choice made, but it was something that kind of distracted me for a second or two. But otherwise, that hey, I'm gonna check this out just to kind of see what is going on, and whether they're going to kind of meld this character in with the greater DC universe at large. And it seems that in a way they might be doing that, giving who shows up at the end. Again, not a spoiler, but I'm just saying, there's some interaction that is going to happen. And the last book for me is Hellcat, number 3 of 5. Written by Christopher Cantwell, with art by Alex Lenz, color artist KJ Diaz, and letters by VC's Ariana Mar. So, speaking of past and present kind of colliding, after the events of last issue, we may have found out that Patsy has another new power in it, or a power that she's probably had all along. But we are definitely getting the sense that there is a little bit more to her than we know of at this point, as this comes to Crossroads. And as I say in my notes, it's very 90s up in here, because you have characters like Sleepwalker and Blackheart, who is the son of Mephisto, all up in here for reasons. So 90s kids rejoice, I guess, because I'm sure those two names mean something to you. But also, all of this is kind of in service of helping Patty try to figure out who killed a friend of hers, who I am suspecting may or may not actually be dead, but was also involved with something having to do with one of those characters that I mentioned. we'll get into that. And of course, like I said, there's some past and present kind of colliding, as there's some past recollections going on here that is probably going to infer, you know, current and future pets, yeah, I suppose, or at least as in line with the story. And that, folks, is it for me. Kliqs of the week.
Kliqs of the week.
Dirt basically said that this is the only read book that he read, in which is Action Comics 1055. So that is his click. Like he said anything. Oh, this actually almost made me want to read this book, because he was like, he wasn't sure why Mr. Terrific is picking a fight with Steel, which is the only thing he pretty much said. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why that would be the case either. So, I mean, Mr. Terrific, smart, athletic, probably. I was going to say probably not a match for Steel, but at the same time, I just remembered Steel is in a suit. Oh, you probably get him out of the suit, and while probably still somewhat strong, he's probably can get dealt with. I don't know. Who knows? But I know there's that Steelbook coming out next week, or not next week, but fairly soon by written by Michael Dorn. So I'm looking forward to that also. Do you have yours, sir?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Ambassadors number 5.
Can't say I'm surprised by that.
Well, given that I probably gave that the most detailed, review this week, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and not only that, but you had been talking about it for a couple of weeks, so there was clear.
Well, just trying to catch up, right? Because I'd seen it in this week's solicitations,
right?
So I realized that I had already missed 4 issues.
And Time Before Time came out this week, and I was actually going to do a similar thing, but I was like, you know what?
3 issues, yeah, exactly. I missed 3 issues, like 2, 3, and 4. So 5 came out this week.
Right. So I understand those feels, but I just didn't get around to it because I had read a lot anyway. For myself, it's probably going to be out of either Storm number 1 or Fury number 1, or possibly that Dungeons and Dragons number 3, which I guess a point I forgot to mention. There was something that happened, and I'm relatively familiar with the cartoon that it's based off of. There was something that happened in that book that I didn't expect to ever happen, that may probably happened in the course of the cartoon, but I don't think ever happened. And the resolution of it was just like, oh no, I just pick it up. And I'm sitting here like, wait, I don't know. And as I say in my notes, I have to check the rule book for that, but I don't think that's a way for that to happen. So I don't know. But I think I'm actually going to go with, it's actually kind of weird for me, Fury number 1, which is
No, Fury was good.
Yeah,
Fury was good because it was, I thought it was well executed.
Yeah. Which again was the 60th anniversary one shot of the character. So, and written by Al Ewing, which is one of my favorite writers. So, and still does good work. So it's a cool thing. And I don't think we got anything from Tim. But with that being the case, I think we can just push on to
other books this week. No, kidding. Thanks.
Well, yes. But I think we can go ahead and push on to the news. But first, let's get an ad read.
Our first ad read of the night is for Wink, the personalized wine club. Wink has a world of wine delivered right to your door. From rosé to Cabernet to Torronté, Wink has over 100 styles of wine to discover. Have you ever tried an orange wine? Wink connects you to a world of exclusive wines tailored to your taste and delivered directly to your door. Wink delivers 4 bottles of wine to you every month with free shipping. You can pick your own bottles or let Wink choose and match to your taste. It doesn't cost a thing to become a member, and you can skip or cancel anytime. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy an exclusive discount of $20 off your first order. To place your first order with $20 off, and to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us/wink. That's cspn.us/WINC. Wink wines through CSPN. Do it today. Now we get into the news. A little quick on the trigger there.
A little bit, but so I have this little behind the scenes game where I try to predict when Agent 7 is going to predict the new when in the news the ad segment. I'm proud to say got it in one, with the exception of what he just did. But
Right.
and with that, folks, cinematic news. First up, Venom character Mrs. Chen. I have not watched neither one of those movies, so I don't know what it is. Appears in a brief new Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse clip. And I'm going to take this time to say that next week we are going to go on movie protocol. I will mention this again at the end of the show for Across the Spider-Verse. But apparently, yeah, there was a live action Across the Spider-Verse TV spot, and she's in it. So what does that mean? Take that to your own devices.
Right.
Next up.
So Deadpool 3 star, I say that loosely, Stefan Kopitic confirmed filming for the MCU movie has started. So yeah, it started. That is the MCU reboot of Deadpool.
Crickets. Exactly. Guess what, folks? Robert Downey Jr. originally met for Marvel with for another role, and that role is let's just say the main adversary of Marvel's first family. And thankfully, he didn't get it. Because I can't even imagine, how that would even go. But apparently this came out during and actually the featurette is out there. There's Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau sat down to reflect on Iron Man 2008. And again, that video is out there and it's probably attached to no, it's not. I was going to say it's attached to this article, but it is not. But yeah, you can check the YouTubes out there on Marvel's channel for their conversation about Iron Man. 2008, folks. That's when this all started. This whole, well, technically kind of started before that, but the main part started. So, and there's a couple of other tidbits that came out between them outside of that, but that's the one that this article is focusing on. Next up.
All righty. Actress Ming-Na Wen is getting a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We know her from Mulan and, of course, 1993's The Joy Luck Club. We also know her from Mando and unfortunately, The Book of Boba Fett.
And
The Cavalry.
There you go. AKA Melinda May from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
There you go. But we know her as The Cavalry. And yeah, that's pretty cool that she's getting that.
Oh, right. And she was in ER. I forgot. She totally was there.
Oh, I mean, I remember her from ER. She was Deb Chen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sometimes I forget that because I was like, dang, there was a lot of people on that show. And it's like, yeah, I forgot she was there for a good stint of that. Oh, yeah. She's getting a star on the Walk of Fame. Good on her. Now let's get her back in the MCU as her character. Which I'm sure she has bigger and better things to do right now. But Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy discusses the future of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Star Wars universe. Things like whether there will be an Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2. And this article totally misspelled Kenobi. Editors, get on that. But yeah, apparently she was on Entertainment Weekly's Dagobah Dispatch podcast, and she confirms That is right now. There are currently no plans to expand the story of the Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. Quote, I always hesitate to say no more Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maybe we'll end up doing something that gets incorporated into some of the other stories that we're doing, or eventually into a movie, but who knows? Right now, it's still our standard standalone limited series. Obi-Wan fans, do don't go crazy, but deal with it. I don't know. Next up.
All right. One of the character actors from the prequels who reappeared in Obi-Wan Kenobi revealed what he would want to return in a possible Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2. That would be Joel Edgerton, who has done many other things, but we know him in this universe as Owen Lars, the younger Owen Lars. And he said basically he thinks that the character has come full circle, but there has to be something compelling, which is what every actor says. That too. Well, we know he doesn't die because he makes it all the way to New Hope.
Yeah. And also, and as we know, thanks to Aunt Beru being
right, exactly, because she's hardcore.
Exactly. They don't come in strapped. Speaking of folks that were in Obi-Wan Kenobi, Doctor Who adds Game of Thrones Torchwood and Obi-Wan Kenobi alum of Indira Varma. So I think I've seen this reported elsewhere. It's kind of weird because folks may know Torchwood is a Doctor Who spinoff. So she's technically already been playing a character in the universe, but she'll be playing another. Now, I'm fairly certain it's not the first time this has happened in the course of Doctor Who. Matter of fact, I know it because I think one of the doctors was playing a totally different character, but ended up being the Doctor. So I don't know why people made an issue out of this, but nevertheless, I'm sure she'll be great at it because she's so actress. Next up.
Warner Brothers and DC Studios dropped a final trailer for The Flash ahead of the film's release. I am not watching this, so you know what? I'm not watching this trailer, that is. I'm likely going to end up watching the movie, much to my chagrin, but, what are you going to do?
He's going to come out and loving it, folks. It's going to be his favorite film of the year, probably. I mean,
good night, everybody.
I mean, despite the hate for the main character, it might actually be a personal hate. Let me phrase that. Not a wide thing, but for reasons that we've already talked about, it's probably going to be a halfway decent movie. But also, there's other things going on with this whole thing that's like really not great. But that's the main thing. We'll see what Age of 70 says about that June 16th. Or somewhere around about there. Arrowverse star addresses the CW's John Diggle spinoff cancellation. So I guess we're going to find out that John Diggle was supposed to be in a spinoff called Justice U that has now been canceled. And we also come to find out due to the cancellation that apparently Diggle had some more story to tell, including possibly becoming the new Green Lantern, aka John Stewart style. So he his name David Ramsey, who portrayed Diggle through all 8 seasons of Arrows and went to the other parts of the Arrowverse, pretty much said that unfortunately you're right. CW decided to pass on all of their shows in development, which we would know about. Justice U was one of them. And basically says, it would be great, and that Diggle has a lot of story to tell, including the nugget that they actually had some stuff about him becoming Green Lantern, which I would have wanted to see because they really did tease that at the end of I think Arrow or something. So, well, there may be a chance of him to get on into the DCU, but we don't know if that's the case. Next up.
While Gotham Knights has yet to be picked up for a second season, star Misha Collins wants to let the show's fans know that he appreciates their campaign efforts for a renewal. Okay.
I've not watched 1 second of that show, so
I mean, you know, you can hear from the tone of my voice. I'm like, okay.
yeah. Folks, you may or may not know by now, but HBO Max has been rebranded to the very dull name of Max. And as someone on Twitter said, Mama call them HBO Max, I'm gonna call them HBO Max. But with that rebranding come some crashes after. So here's the thing. Apparently some people have been experiencing crashes with it. I think I tried it a couple of days ago, and the HBO Max app said, "Hey, you need to download a whole new app."
What?
On the PS5
Oh.
specifically. Actually, I hadn't tried it mobile yet, but I suspect it's probably going to be the same thing. But yeah, I had to download a whole new app, and I did that. And as far as I noticed, outside of Code of Paint, there's nothing really that was different from the HBO Max. So why you had to get a whole new app for this, I do not know.
Oh wow, it does say that. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Son of a gun.
I'm not crazy.
I mean, I just hadn't used it. You know, like I watched like maybe like 2 things in the last couple of days. So
here's
you know, I
the funny part
used
about
Disney
it.
Plus, and I watched the latest, the penultimate episode of Ted Lasso.
Right. So here's the funny part about that. I had neither until I was like, there was some reason why. Oh no, that's what it was. When I saw there was like, oh yeah, today's the day they were changing over from HBO Max to Max. I was like, let me go check and see if they if they updated the app. And then that's when I fired it up, and it was like, no, you got to get a whole new app. You know, because I have seen apps would be like, no, all you have to do is just update this app, and boom, it's a fresh coat of paint, and you're good to go. Did not happen here. So yeah, so that was a weird thing. And I've seen people on Twitter. I have seen a couple of people in places that are not in the U.S. but U.S. territories said that they were not able to get onto the service where they previously were able to.
Wow.
Or at least one person. I think I hadn't seen too many people say too much more than that. I'm going to take this time to say that, by the way, if you have a PS5, they finally have a Paramount Plus app that I also ended up downloading last night and firing up. So, yay. Finally. Where was that when Star Trek Picard Season 3 was going on? Could have used it then. Appreciated it. But now it's there. Next up, though.
Interesting. All right, so I just uploaded it to my my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
I have to update my other iPad. Just up my phone. I'm gonna have to update all my Fire Sticks.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and that was the whole thing. I was like, God damn it! Now I gotta go. Now if they're gonna, if they make me do this one, I'm definitely gonna have to go through that whole thing with the rest of them. But luckily, I can almost safely say that I didn't have to re-sign back in.
Right, I did not have to either.
Yeah, so that's actually a good thing. But also, I still don't think that I had to straight up change apps. But I'm no app maker. I've not made an app, but I have seen a couple of things. I don't know what they had to do in the background, but I don't think they had to do anything because it looks pretty much the same, exception of a coat of paint. Anywho, next up.
Alrighty, so Netflix recently released a still from The Witcher Season 3, offering audiences the best look yet at Geralt of Rivia's new costume outside of the fast-paced teaser trailer. I thought they changed the star for Season 3.
That is for the next season after this.
Oh, so this is Henry Cavill's last.
Right.
Okay.
I said this. I thought the same thing. I was like, wait a minute, but then I thought about it. I was like, oh right, I forgot. He had already put in the work for this.
Gotcha.
And speaking of that, The Witcher Season 3 makes a major change to Jaskier's Jaskier, and fans are already upset. I think it has something to do with a relationship that is in the book. That they apparently either did not do or they are changing for this. Somebody's always going to be mad about something. Next up.
The trailer for the second season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds is arriving with warp speed levels of swagger, throttling up the action, adventure, and romance that viewers can expect from Paramount Plus's flashy throwback series. Okay. So there's a trailer out there, a teaser trailer.
It is, and it also teases the lower decks crossover, which I have questions about. But I almost said it on Twitter, but I'm not going to. Like, wait a minute, I'm going to have to look up because something's not right here. But also, it's Star Trek, so there's probably some time travel shenanigans going on one way or the other. But I checked out the teaser trailer. It looks fun. I have to watch the show at some point. Mission Impossible 7 reportedly has the franchise's longest runtime, which reading through this thing, I was like, doesn't seem that long, but at the same time, I guess it is because Dead Reckoning Part 1, which as we know, this is part 1 of 2. They're doing a Fast and Furious thing, except for I think they're doing 3. But regardless, Dead Reckoning is going to be 2 hours and 45 minutes long. According to this article, this beats out 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout, which was 2 hours and 28 minutes. And apparently way longer than the original Mission Impossible movie, which hour and 50 minutes, which was great. I still love that movie. I know people don't like 2 also, but I enjoy 2. But guess what? You can watch all those on Paramount Plus. Not a sponsor. I'm just saying it's there. I was looking through it, like I said, when I was checking out the app, but there's a couple of those movies I actually hadn't seen also. So that, and I think Top Gun, I'll be watching some soon. Next up.
Alrighty, so in a 25th anniversary video from Paramount Movies via Slash Film in 2021, Tom Cruise talked about the iconic CIA vault break-in scene in the original Mission Impossible, which had him really physically straining, and apparently it almost didn't happen. Alrighty, so yeah, it was apparently a tough one, and he said, I can do it."
I was reading through this. I was like, I kind of wanted to see the outtakes from that, but no, we know about Cruise now being an adrenaline junkie. I'm like, okay, I get he wanted to do it, but after what they're saying in this article happened, kind of funny. Some Fast and Furious news, folks. Buckle up. If you haven't seen Fast X,
Spoiler!
yeah, exactly. Sun Kang reacts to Gal Gadot's return and what it means for Han and Giselle. This is why I was so happy last week, because this is probably one of the only good parts. Let me stop. That's not nice. This is one of the parts that I.
Right. Stop lying. You ain't lying.
This was one of the parts that I enjoyed in the movie, and unfortunately came near at the end of the movie. So yeah, we found out that Giselle, aka Gal Gadot, who died, and if you a long time listener of the show knows that there were 2 things that we have been having issue with: justice for Han, and that's Agent 70's thing, and the fact that every other person around this character has come back alive, including the person that went out right around the bad guy that went around out the time that she did, and
Right.
why she wasn't back and they were. And matter of fact, I think I recently said something about it on Twitter, and now I'm not going to take it back, but still. So yeah, we find out that she's back. To what extent? I guess we'll find out in the next movie, because cliffhanger. So, and we already talked about why she's potentially why she might be back last week. So you can go check that out last week.
Exactly. I mean, we know why.
Yeah. Next up.
We know why. All right. Fast X director Louis Leterrier discussed the disturbing Jason Momoa scene he never thought would be included in the final cut of the movie. So we know what it is. That we talked about this kind of being creepy, and I guess Leterrier revealed he never thought that they would get approval from Universal Pictures to include the scene. So they should have cut it.
Yeah, it kind of went on a little bit long. And possibly wasn't necessary, but
Yep.
Yeah. If you don't know what scene you're talking about, yeah, then you clearly hadn't seen the movie. All right, come on. Vin Diesel responds to Dwayne The Rock Johnson's franchise return. I'm not going to go into it. All I'm going to say is family, and he pretty much says a media point. That's all I'm going to say. You can check out the article for yourself if you want to see what he actually. Next up.
All right, so apparently Fast 10 director Louis Leterrier said not everyone is going to come back for Fast and Furious 11. So, yeah, we complained about Fast X ending on a cliffhanger. So apparently, we just don't know who makes it all the way through.
Right. So now here's the funny part about this is I read that title. And I was like, yeah, you're talking about the fans.
Right.
But that's not what they were talking about.
I know.
So yeah, we'll see when 11 happens. Although also part of me also feels like, okay, or is he saying that because of what already happened in 10 that we know that's potentially the case? But we'll see. Anyway. Fast X's Sun King addresses, which this is the thing I forgot about. It's the only reason why I'm bringing this up. Sun King addresses absence of F9 star. So Anna Sewell did not reprise her role of Elle or Ellie, it was Elle in Fast 10. Granted, she wasn't missed personally. This is me saying that, not the article. But yeah, she was set up to kind of be like a circuit daughter to Han.
Right.
But we haven't seen her.
I forgot about that.
Exactly. I think I thought nothing about it during that whole movie. So I was like, the way they kind of go through things, it is what it is. And it says here that actually there was a scene shot that kind of hinted where she was, but didn't make the cut. So I guess it'll be on the deleted scenes. Ben had a great idea because he loves to talk about mythology and minute details of the characters and their origins and the backgrounds and other characters that have connected tissue. Kang shared with the Insider. Because the whole theme of Fast has always been family, every character has to be rooted in that. Every step that they take in the story has to be rooted in that theme and the purpose and the importance of family. Goes on from there, but I will not. So maybe will she show up in 11 and or 12 if there's a 12? Who knows? But clearly was not a significant part of enough to make anybody remember that she was in the thing. Next up.
Oh, yeah. The countdown to Barbie is on. Shout out to our very own @TimDog98 for writing this story for comicbook.com. Which means it's time for the film's second trailer to be released. And we just got it. And good for the Barbie movie.
I watched this thing, and if that last trailer, or the first trailer, I guess you could say, was something, this was also something in a slightly different direction. Like it's still kind of bonkers in a way, but it kind of introduced something that I guess some would say would probably be a Greta Gerwig staple or something. It definitely subverts what that first part of it subverts what that first trailer kind of brings up. So I don't know. And I keep seeing people like they're going to watch this day one. I'm like, have at it. I will probably watch it at some point because I gotta know. But at the same time, I'm not going to be. I don't think I'm going to the theater for this. I think I can wait. Next up, though. Oh wait. Yeah. No. Yeah. Guess what, folks? Speaking of Fast and Furious characters and DC related characters, the Barbie movie almost ended up getting a DC / Fast and Furious star. That in Wonder Woman / Gal Gadot, but they couldn't get her. So Margot Robbie.
What?
Yeah, I don't. Let me see. Yeah, apparently they wanted to get her for the Barbie film, but as it says here, doesn't necessarily say why they couldn't.
It didn't work out for whatever reason.
Basically, but Margot Robbie pretty much glows about Gadot. Says that Gal Gadot is Barbie energy because Gal Gadot is so impossibly beautiful. But you don't hate her for being that beautiful because she's so genuinely sincere and she's so enthusiastically kind, and that's almost kind of almost dorky, as she says with Vogue. So yeah, we almost had Wonder Woman in the Barbie movie. Work out though. This article says maybe in a sequel. If that movie gets a sequel, no, can't be no stranger to anything else is happening nowadays. So sure. Next up.
Netflix has released the first teaser trailer for its upcoming animated series, Skull Island. The story for the show is set within Legendary's MonsterVerse, and the trailer shows off several creatures in that universe in Ravage attack mode. Okay, Savage attack mode, maybe? Typo?
Mm-hmm. So Samuel Jackson talking about his role in that's that King Kong or Skull Island was it? I can't remember. The King Kong movie.
Kong, yeah, it was
Yeah.
King Kong Skull
Yeah.
Island, no?
Yeah,
Wasn't that the title of it?
I think that's right. But it was amusing. Let's just say. Anyway, Anime Corner. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is the only thing that I pulled for the Anime Corner before we go into the Manga Corner. But Fantasy Monsters never look so good, tastier than Studio Trigger's Delicious in Dungeon. We talked about this anime last week. Again, this is being done by Studio Trigger, purveyors of Cyberpunk Edge Runners and Premiere, set to debut in January 2024. And apparently there is an anime teaser out there if you are interested in finding out a little bit more about what this is. Basically, Dungeons and Food and Monsters. It almost kind of sounds like a Battle Chef Brigade if you are a video fan. And if it is end up being like that, you have to watch this. Next up, Manga Corner.
Manga Corner, and this is an interesting story, and it's funny that I would pull it. 1 second. The reason why I say that is that what do you get when you combine the world's most downloaded education app with the #1 anime streaming platform? Language app Duolingo and Crunchyroll hope the answer is simple: a new entertaining and, dare we say, tanoshii, i.e. fun way to learn Japanese. The two companies today announced a first-of-its-kind partnership infusing immersive language lessons with iconic phrases from fan-favorite anime shows such as Naruto and Dragon Ball Z. Oh my goodness, because I dropped the ball on Japanese Duolingo, and because it got hard because I had to remember characters. I was like, that means I got to stun and write these down.
I told you I skipped the character part and just went straight to the thing, and I still kind of fell off of it. But but yeah, so I guess you're gonna get a lot of stuff like
Nani?
Yeah, right. Or
quite possibly.
So when is this supposed to launch?
You know what?
I'm scrolling.
That's a good question. Is it
Duolingo learners studying Japanese may be eligible for 1 free month of Crunchyroll Mega Fan Premium Access. Yeah, but I already subscribed. So as part of the partnership, premium Crunchyroll subscribers will be eligible for a 2-month trial of Super Duolingo. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can get my 2-month free trial.
Yeah, you can. I mean, and as far as I know, that Crunchyroll thing might add on to. I mean, I think I can't remember how you're paying, but maybe that'll tack on to what you already got, also.
Yeah.
So, it might be worth it one way or the other.
Wow, that's interesting. That'll be fun. So wait, so is this started already?
I'm not sure. I pulled this last week and I forgot to put it in the lineup, but I'm not sure when this takes effect.
So weird, but that's cool though. That's actually such a a fun thing to try to help foster learning.
Right. And if there's anything people the cross section is going to do is like, you know what, there are people that are probably watching anime a lot. There definitely is, but watching in subtitles.
Right. And ultimately, I would add that, Roddykat and I, and this is something we don't always share on the show, but we are both Duolingo users for different languages. So it's interesting that this would be an impetus to jump back into the Japanese lessons.
Yeah, and actually, just like I said, Japanese was one of the languages I was messing with.
Yeah, I tried. Yeah, I was about to say I dabbled in it, and then as I mentioned, I got to the characters. I was like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
this is a lot more work than I was bargaining for. This is not something I can do on my subway ride home.
Yeah,
So
katakana is kind of a lot.
yeah, like it's a little bit more intensive because it involves more memorization than actual practicing language. So it's it involves anytime there are characters involved, you have to just sit down and do it, and that does involve more often than not pen and paper or tablet uh, and stylus,
Right. Or video
or
game.
Apple Pencil and iPad Pro, or iPad. So
or app or video game, because there are some I know for a fact there's a couple of video games that supposedly help you learn Japanese
right.
that I still haven't messed with. But we'll see. Anyway, moving right along. Trigun Fashion Stampede figure showcases a dynamic $6 billion double dollar man. The $6 billion double dollar man. Thank you. This looks to be the new version of Vash and not the OG version. But it's still a good looking figure. So, which is why I said Trigun Stampede, because that's that is the current version. It retails for $200 and will ship between January and March of 2024, and it will be available from Kodabuyuki through Sideshow, looks like. If you are if you're watching the video version, here's an image. Another image. A couple other image. There's one last image. Check them out. Looks good. Next up.
Yu-Gi-Oh apparel will have fans looking cooler than Blue Eyes White Dragon. Animate's new Yu-Gi-Oh apparel collection will make fans and duelists look as cool as the franchise's iconic monsters. According to Comic Natalie, the clothing line features multiple items like t-shirts, stadium jackets, and hoodies, and the designs are inspired by classic monsters such as Dark Magician Girl and Blue Eyes White Dragon. I don't remember him yelling out Dark Magician Girl. I thought it was just Dark Magician.
No, Dark Magician Girl came later.
Oh, that was a later character. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember, like, in the few times I watched the Yu-Gi-Oh, I remember Dark Magician being one of the cards he played.
Yeah, because he played it every freaking time. Every freaking match you called him out.
I didn't watch that many, so it seemed like I saw it, often.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I did. So that's why I know for a fact. It was pretty much every duel, Dark Magician.
That's funny. You can pre-order these, right? You can pre-order on Animate's website until July 23rd, and shipping will begin towards the end of September.
If you're watching the video version, you just saw some samples of the shirts. They look kind of basic, but hey, go have at it if you want to. Critical Role launches a new tabletop RPG with a free quick start guide. Candela Obscura is the name of the next live streaming series from Critical Role, which premieres, I guess, tonight. Because is it Thursday yet? And yes, it is. It says ahead of the highly anticipated new series, the Troops Darrington Press imprint has released a quick start guide that includes a preview of the Illuminated Worlds rule set that the action will be based on, accompanied by a how to play video guide led by game designer Spencer Stark of Alice is Missing. So cool. This video kind of describes how to play. As we speak, I'm sure that the Twitch stream is going on for Critical Role, because that's usually when they record. So if you are not watching us, you're probably watching them. It says video demand release is scheduled for June 8th. And you can download the Candela Obscura Quick Start Guide at Darrington Press website, which is in the article in the show notes. Next up.
All right, in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Dungeons and Dragons, the seminal tabletop role-playing game, the publisher of the current Dungeons and Dragons books, Wizards of the Coast, revealed that they are publishing revisions of all three of the best-selling 5th edition core rulebooks, the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. But the problem is they can't seem to find a printing partner that can make all three of them in a timely fashion. So they're going to be staggered releases. Hopefully they aren't too far apart because they do want to jump on this. Apparently, the Player's Handbook is one of the best-selling books all the time on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And actually, before I found this article, I was actually in the store looking at a 5th edition, thinking about buying it because
now you can wait for the 2024 version.
Mm-hmm. So I guess this is good this came along because I was like, you know what? I had a copy and I don't know where it is. So, but granted, it's a much older copy though, so it is what it is.
Oh, you mean older than 5th edition?
Right.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant 5th edition as opposed to like a 5th edition that was from 2016.
No. I had the old red book. Old red book.
Oh wow! Yeah, no, I think I've got a 3rd edition floating around. 3rd or 4th edition.
I think is it the 2nd or 3rd? I can't remember which one. Yeah, because I think
got a 3rd or 4th one floating around, like pre Wizards of the Coast, I think.
Oh, you had a TSR joint. That might be if it's in.
Oh no! I think I've got the first. I think I've got the first Wizards of the Coast.
I was about to say because Wizards of the Coast was like 3rd or 4th, I think.
Yeah.
So when they swarmed over everything. Thanks to Agent 70 for this next article and potentially getting me to spend some money. Marvel Legends Amazon exclusive West Coast Avengers box set has been revealed and is on pre-order starting today as of this recording, actually. So this was revealed by Screen Rant. It is out on Amazon. If you're watching the video, you can see the crew entailed minus Hawkeye. You got your this is the later iteration, obviously, because not the original crew. We got a redo of the Iron Man Silver Centurion. You got Julian Carpenter and Spider-Woman, Hank Pym in his Dr. Pym moniker, Mockingbird as we noted without the big sleeves, and Tigra. So I think this is it's a good set. I'm probably going to get it. And the Mockingbird, while not the one, like I said, I was going to make a joke to Agent 70 before the show, like, how will she hide her battle staves? But but I did not get to do that. But as you can see, as I'm flipping through the thing, yeah, this is her when she had the short. Well, I mean, she mostly always had it, but still. The short kind of bikini with the big sleeves, but it's not the big sleeve.
Right.
Nevertheless, it is a thing. And we were also talking, it's like, where's Firebird? Because this was totally the era that Firebird would have been with this iteration of Hank Pym.
Yep.
After Tigra dumped him and he almost committed, but well, okay, we're not gonna do that. And they don't either, apparently. So yeah, that's out there. Wait, did we have a price? We have to click through and find out. And it's not even on the link that they have. That's funny. I'm sure that's out there. Oh wait,
it's an Amazon exclusive, so we can find it.
Yeah, I know, and there's a Sky Cycle. But it wasn't. But the link that they have on here does not link to that particular thing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I see. Yeah, I did it also. I clicked it and it didn't, and it went to another set.
Yep, but there's Leisure Suit Wonder Man. Right for
yeah. Look at that. You know what I was gonna say is the Sky Cycle is $50.
I'm seeing that. Yep. So yeah, that's it's. I know I have it in my list, but I don't have it one day or the other. Anyway, next up. Stop thinking about that.
No, I was gonna say no. I'm scrolling down. Damn it! Damn it!
That's what happens.
You know, you open up Amazon to see Marvel Legends, and you end up scrolling down to see what's available and what's on sale.
Exactly. Ooh.
Yes, exactly. It's like, oh, I wanted this.
Do you want me to do this next one while you're doing that, or?
Nah, I'm gonna jump back. Actually, you know what? You take this one, yeah, because this is a video game one, please.
Okay, sure. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 gameplay has been revealed, and this actually, from yesterday's PlayStation showcase that happened as it was yesterday, as of this recording, this was the game that ended the show, and by showing a bunch of gameplay that looks really, really good. It started out with a little bit of Kraven the Hunter, while going into some Peter in Venom costume, and Miles get into some action for a certain reason, which I won't go into. But yeah, it looks good. That Insomniac does some good shit. They did the last, the Miles Morales game and the original Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man that they did. Great looking stuff, great playing stuff, and this looks to continue that on. This is coming out. Wait, when is this coming? Yeah, I think it's November of this PlayStation. That says fall, so yeah, it's probably November, but it doesn't give an exact date. But yeah, good looking stuff. I got to finish the first 2 games, and then I can be able to get into it. Next up.
Right. I just found the Wacko set. It's $125.
Okay, thanks. Oh, that's
times 5. It's 5 figures.
I know,
right?
I know. Yeah, that's not terrible, I guess. Yeah.
Because everything's $25 now.
Right.
That's what you have to remember. It's going to go down if it doesn't sell out. So.
Right.
All right. Let's see here.
Comic book news.
Iron Man gets a new. No, I just had to scroll down one. Iron Man gets a new code name and armor as Marvel's next Black King. So this is a Hellfire Club related story. So he's going to be fighting alongside Mutantkind as they battle a shared foe. All right.
This is harkening back to that inversion armor that he wore. And that doesn't fill me with with good times, because that was weird. But hey, it's coming up soon, so we will definitely be talking about it. Meet the GODS, the gods, thanks to Jonathan Hickman and Valerio Schiti, in a set of new variant covers this August. So let's see. All right, if you've read the Free Comic Book Day Avengers / X-Men #1, you'll kind of get a tease of the folks in question. Aiko, Maki, Dimitri, Kubik's Core, and Mia. And all of those people mentioned are getting variant covers in August. Apparently with Universe Staples. So you got, as I'm scrolling through, you got Doctor Strange and Wynn. Right. Okay. You don't want me to do that. That's fine. I don't have to do that. I was going to scroll through the pictures, but it all of a sudden will not let me. But yeah, they're there, so you can check them out. Check them out yourself. And you have the creative, the variant covers creatives, and the books that they are going to be showcased in. And there is a few of them throughout August. Next up.
So fresh on the heels. Now, if you heard the episode that we dropped earlier this week, fresh on the heels of the Marvel announcement that they are reprinting the run of ROM Space Knight in 2 omnibus versions. Fresh off the heels of that news, from the edges of inner space, the Micronauts are returning to Marvel Comics in all new omnibus collections. So we're going to have a volume 1 that collects issues 1 through 29 and an annual. And then, so I guess it's going to be those. Yeah, that's going to be it. Volume 1 hardcover. That's what's going to collect them. And there's going to be a facsimile edition of the #1. Wow, look at that. Hasbro's playing ball, because apparently there's something up their sleeve.
Well, yeah, I mean, Hasbro being the owner of the license, I'm more worried about IDW, who had the license but are actually losing license. So we're coming to wonder if this is denoting whether they're actually, and I think I said this on the last show, whether
Right.
they're fully losing those licenses, and they
Right.
may possibly be reverting back to Marvel. Some 70,
Or not
so
reverting,
hopefully.
or at least rejoining Marvel.
Right. So, like I said, some like 70 would welcome that idea.
At least ROM.
Right.
And wouldn't it be funny if Micronauts rejoined and they appeared in like, you know, something related to Ant-Man?
Right. Because
It'd be funny if they got bought out, you know?
right, because it
As
wasn't didn't
IP.
one of them ended up becoming a guardian of the galaxy?
Yeah, Bug.
Bug. Yeah. hmm So yeah, there you go. And as far as I know, as far as we know, they're still around. So I don't know. I saw somebody on Twitter when this as this news was coming out saying hopefully some of this money or most of this money is going to Bill Mantlo, who is has been receiving hospice, not hospice care,
Yeah.
but some sort of
No,
care.
I was about to say he's in long-term care because
Right.
of a injury from a car accident, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, he's been, you know, in long-term care.
Right. So hopefully he is getting some of those, some, or if not most of the money from the from this and the ROM hard being reprinted.
Yeah.
Here's hoping anyway.
Hopefully big chunks of the money.
Exactly. George R. Martin's Wild Cards Now and Then First Look. So this is a new graphic novel in.
That's me. I just I put that there so that you could take a look at the link.
Okay. Look at it in a second. George R. Martin's Wild Cards universe expands with the first original graphic novel written by New York Times bestselling author Carrie Vaughn and features art by Eisner Award nominated Renee DeLiz. George R. Martin's Wild Cards Now and Then offers a new point of entry into the Wild Cards superhero universe, which Martin has been editing and overseeing, I'm going to say, since 1987, since this article possibly has a typo in it. And which has long been in development as a live action television series, most recently at Peacock, apparently. Another typo with dude's name. Come on, you just did this right. But it goes into the synopsis of said book, which I will not. But yeah, I know there are fans of this out there that, and this will be going on sale July 25th. So, and there's a set of preview pages on this article if you are interested in checking that out. Next up.
Alrighty, so Image Comics has left Diamond Comic Distributor as its main distributor. It is moving its comic book distribution to Lunar Distributions with a new exclusive distribution agreement that will kick in with comic books released into comic book shops in September. So right now, the way it stands, Lunar, which is the exclusive distributor of DC, will now be the exclusive distributor of Image. And we have Penguin Random House, which is the exclusive distributor of Marvel, IDW, and Dark Horse. Diamond still has exclusive deals with Boom, Dynamite, Ablaze, Titan, Aftershock Comics, and Frank Miller Presents, and has non-exclusive deals with a number of other comic book companies. Diamond also still has its current arrangement with Marvel Comics, where it acts as a wholesaler for Image Comics and graphic novels in the direct market. All right. Yeah, and in a related story, Roddykat will pick up.
Yeah, but first, just a little behind the scenes anecdotes. So I usually go and get the covers that are shown when we talk about the books. A couple of weeks ago, and the site I usually use is preview site, which I believe is Diamond's site, if I'm not mistaken. And all of the major publishers have their own section. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Image was gone. Not from the site, just from their having their own section. And I saw I guess from the show William Bruce West kind of ask about that, and I think someone told him that they took themselves out of that prestige thing. So you can still find them on the page. They're just down with like the rest of the books and comics.
Right, the
Which
regular comics, yeah.
right, which kind of makes it a hassle for me because it was easier to find them that way, find all the books, and now they have them jumbled up with all the other stuff, and now I got to kind of weed through that stuff to find their books every week. But I assume in relation to this, now we understand. Now I guess that makes sense more sense as to why they did that, presumably.
Right.
So,
like, why did such things happen?
Right. So it was kind of a curious thing, and now this kind of sheds a little bit more light on it than not. Now, last story was actually a story that Agent 70 found into something that we were kind of wondering about before this week. A serious truck accident for Diamond Comic Distributors happened in New York, because everything happens in New York, of course.
Right, upstate though.
Yes. And this happened on the 24th, which is yesterday. As
I was about to say, and hold that thought, just to remind everybody, anything north of the Bronx is upstate. But you know, there's some contention on that. Go ahead.
Right. Well, excuse me. I'm sorry. It was reported because this was the books from that was supposed to go to stores yesterday, the 24th, which is New Comic Book Day. We found out about this from our co-host Dirt, who had heard about it but had not seen it reported anywhere.
Right. It probably worked through the channel, the retail channels that he's still familiar with. So
right. So we were kind of wondering whether we were going to be, short on books, but review books, digital review books, books might not, have to worry about that same channel, obviously, because this is a physical truck with physical books. But basically, there was an accident that happened. I believe Diamond said they would whatever's been damaged or destroyed will be replaced for next week's shipment. Whatever that might be. So yeah, if you go to your local comic book shop this week and find out that a book or two of yours is not there when it's supposed to come out this week, that would probably be the reason why. So I don't know. So wait, but this happened in New York, but this was specifically for that area.
Well, they distribute from that point of distribution to much of the Northeast. If that was always my understanding. That was like,
so we don't know.
It just moved to this warehouse.
Right. So we don't know where particularly these books are ultimately were supposed to end up.
Right.
So, but like I said, the same thing I just said stands same. And that, folks, is it. And yeah, this article actually notes that this is not the first time this has happened, because yes, I remember something like that ended up actually affecting the show a few years ago, because of that, when we were still both going to the store and getting books regularly.
Yep.
But anyway, that, folks, is it for the news. Can we get one last ad read?
You know what we read as an ad read when it is late? It's our last ad for the night. Keep our podcast free by shopping at Amazon. Visit cspn.us, then click the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down and click on the Amazon link to shop. Purchase items from Amazon as you normally would, whether it's books, music, electronics, jewelry, apparel, or Marvel Legends, as we may do very shortly. For every purchase made on Amazon through our link, Amazon sends the CSPN a payment. It helps us keep the Comic Book Chronicles podcast free for our listeners at no extra cost to you. Amazon.com through cspn.us. Do it today.
All right, folks. And that is the end of the show. Before we go, I want to reiterate the fact that next week we're going to go on Movie Protocol for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Oh, thank you. Hit that again. We will keep you abreast of when we actually record next week, because I'm sure we will have bunches of thoughts on that.
Oh, sure.
Highly anticipated movie.
Oh, sure. I mean, what we've heard so far from advanced reviews is that it's obviously a much darker theme, may in fact be more sad. So see what happens.
I looked at none of that. I'm like, I'm going in fresh.
Right.
So
Right. I mean, we all kind of had an idea that might be what happened.
Totally. Yeah, it was based on the
that's why I mentioned it. I'm like, that's not that big a surprise.
Well, based on, and you can kind of tell based on the trailer. So yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
that's
right.
why that is the entirety of what I would say. That's even mildly spoiling this movie.
Right. That being the case, folks, I have been Roddykat. You can find me at Roddykat on Twitter. You can find me at News on Twitter. You can find me at CBCaps on Instagram. There's some new posts up on CBCaps. Go check them out. Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram. PC_dirt on Twitter. PopCultureNet and PopCultureNetwork.com and all those umbrella sites they're in. DOGG98 on Twitter, CB Cron on Twitter, the Kliq Nation on Twitter, that's TheKliqNation, thekliqnation.com, and of course, he is over there at comicbook.com as Timothy Adams, writing his face off. Don't watch Face Off, it's a terrible movie. I said it and I meant it. You can find this here podcast on the Coastal Podcast Network, the CSPN.us.
Do it today.
Usually there's much better John Woo movie. Hell, Mission Impossible 2, by the way. Great movie. I don't care what people think. Fight me. You can also find this here podcast on your podcast preferred place of choice, whether it be Google Play, Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the Coastal Podcast Network's SoundCloud page.
Make sure to hit like and subscribe and leave us all the positive 5-star reviews, especially if you're doing it on Apple Podcasts.
If we ever had the time to do like another podcast, I would kind of love it to be like let's watch a movie and talk about it while we're watching. Like almost.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if we would ever have time to do such a thing. Regardless, what we will have time for is recording this here podcast sometime next week. But normally we record on Thursdays on the YouTube channel of The Kliq Nation. That's youtube.com/TheKliqNation and twitch.tv/Comic Book Chronicles.
Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you know when we are broadcasting.
Yep, and especially so as for the aforementioned movie protocol for next week. So, boom, yeah. And with that, folks, this has been the Comic Book Chronicles. Peace.
Peace. One. Wakanda forever!